I trust your weekend was good and full of fun things. I mowed the lawn yesterday. That was my fun, I guess. No, I made hamburgers for lunch, and then I made ribeye steak for dinner on the charcoal grill. That's I sometimes cook steaks on the gas grill, but I prefer the charcoal grill. So we went all out. That's what we did yesterday, all out. And today being National Hamburger Day, we do have some leftover hamburgers. So maybe late this evening, I'll be all into being on the grill again. We'll see. But it was today, the National Hamburger Day was founded in 2020 by the National Cattlemen's Association. So there you go. Put that little info in your basket and pass it along today. 6 common challenges faced by independent musicians. And I don't think it's just independent musicians. I think sign bands and things like that have some of these things might apply to them too. But for those of us who are not in that realm, these are common challenges that we all face. And so let's get into that, and then I'll just expand as my brain unfolds all of this incredible wisdom I'm about to share with all of you fine people. Number 1 challenge is the competition. Now, what does that mean? Who's my competition? Well, it could be other, local bands, up to, just fighting for your voice to be heard on social media. And some of those, there's some artists that will probably point their nose in the air and say they don't care about likes or people commenting on their material or whatever. I disagree. I think we all probably care about those kind of things, or why share it to begin with? I play music, because I love it. Like I just said a moment ago, I fell in love with the drums at 10 years old, and at that time, social media didn't exist. I just loved an instrument so much that I just wanted to play it all the time. That was my joy of doing that. And then, of course, getting into school band and things like that and performing. You do concerts for your parents and your family, and they would clap, and that felt good. And I really liked that. And then as I started to put my own bands together and perform, and you have your friends and family that support that and cheer you on, it feels good to do something that other people appreciate. And now, as a full-time musician myself, this is part of my life. It's what I do for a living, and teaching and recording and performing. So I think it's important to have people enjoy what I do, because it helps me be successful. Just like if somebody opened up a newspaper stand, if somebody opened up some kind of store or something, you'd want to support them. So the competition, there's so much out there, and I've mentioned before, and this number may have even gone up, but last November I learned that there's 100,000 new songs uploaded to Spotify every day. So that's nearly 1 million songs per week being uploaded, and we're all trying to get people's attention. So the pros to being able to do that is that anyone can do this, and the con is that anyone can do this. So recording equipment has become cheaper, so it's easier to record if you're willing to learn how to run that equipment and self-produce all your stuff and put it out there. But then, marketing and all of that. And I would also say there's competition probably if you're in the local music scene. You got a large number of bands that are all jockeying for position to perform at different venues, whether it be, it's pretty common now for solo or duo kind of acoustic groups to be playing at wineries or these wine tasting places around town, or breweries, background restaurant stuff, coffee shops. So smaller things like that, compared to the cover band bar gigs and things like that. So there's a lot more bands, and they're all trying to get into those spots. And I mentioned last week too that there had been somebody posted in the Boise Musician Facebook page about they had all their marketing together and their recording and stuff, and they were like, now what? And people were suggesting, networking with other bands that were similar in style to theirs, and maybe doing shows together, and then that way, you make friends in the music business, in the local community, and then you too also get to know some of these club owners or managers or whoever's in charge of hiring bands. Kirby says, do you say I'm awake? I got to put my glasses on. I'm awake. Yes. Me too. However, I am the only one in the house that's awake. It's summer break from school, and I think my kids and my wife are probably going to take this week and do some sleeping later than normal. But I got stuff to do too, so I'm gonna try to be a little more diligent in trying to keep some kind of a schedule going. So yeah. Anyway, back to there's competition, so you just got to be smart about how you're going to play this chess game and get moving. So number one, competition. And there's always people that will say, well, music's not a competition. Okay, yeah. If you want to sound like a purist. I've always been in competition in everything that I do. I want to try to be the best drummer that I can be personally, and I always want to try to be the best drum teacher, and I want to try to be the best husband, and I want to try to be the best dad, and so to me everything's a competition to some degree. I want to be somebody that can be trusted and those kind of things. Number two part of the 6 common challenges, financial hurdles. The cost of doing business. We all know playing an instrument is a financial commitment. It doesn't matter what instrument you're playing. And also, even inexpensive gear is still expensive. It can be. If you have a $200 guitar, that for some of us that could be a big financial commitment. $200, especially in this climate that we're in with the economy and blah blah blah, all that garbage. $200 could be a lot of money for somebody, and so you just work with what you can. Drums, I think, are one of the most expensive things to buy because we have so much equipment as far as that goes. A 4-piece drum kit, you're talking about 4 drums and, a couple of cymbals and hi-hats and stands and then depending on if you have cases or not, all that stuff adds up really quick. So, and then producing your music, regardless if you do it on your own or if you're going to a studio somewhere, things of that nature, all of that stuff adds up. Video production, even with the benefit of what I have here available to use with Cliff or with Midline, I had a pretty steep investment on my end to be able to do all of this stuff. And I'm not saying that my bands take advantage of that necessarily, because we all do our part to try to make this work with the means that we have. So financial hurdles, like the resources available to do all of these things, and then the other side of that is promoting your music, how and where you're going to do that, and the cost of that too. Beyond, well, we recorded this music and we did this video, now what? If you make one little post on Facebook or Instagram or something, that can be seen and then lost pretty fast. So it needs to be something that's ongoing, recurring, so that you can keep catching an audience to be able to get your stuff out there, and so people are aware not only of what you're doing, but enjoy what you're doing, and in turn support your music career through that. So yeah, coming up with the money to do all of that. Chip, good morning, my friend. I'm drinking hot coffee. Actually, it's getting cold. Just sitting here. But at any rate, man, Chip, good to see you. I hope you're doing great, and I'm looking forward to the deck show today. Which, a side note for all of you out there, DEC being the Drummer's Education Connection, I love touting and talking about that. So this whole little spot that I'm going to talk about at the moment is supporting other people doing cool things. I discovered Drummer's Education Connection sometime last summer or fall, and began to follow along. Began to participate in what these guys were doing. And turns out I ended up having a pretty cool dialogue with Bart Robley and getting in touch with him. And then that spilled over with Rick Stojak. And then that spilled over to Chip Ritter here. And then with Jeremy Steinkohler. These guys are awesome, and they do really great shows about drumming and anything related to drumming and music. And that happens also on Tuesdays at 11 a.m. Pacific time, which if you are here in Idaho, that would be noon. They have a Facebook page, Drummers Education Connection, and a YouTube page, and they stream live to that, and it's super awesome, and it's great to call those guys friends, and the information's fantastic. So if you're a drummer or a musician, check those guys out. They've always got really great things in store on that show. So please participate. Participate in that. It's good stuff. So that's the financial hurdles. Number 2, financial hurdles of getting things done. Is it impossible? No, it is not impossible. You just have to be very focused on what you're going to do and how and why, so that you can get the max benefit for what you're putting into it. And quality can't be understated. You got to have quality stuff out there. Yeah, there's a handful of people that maybe can get away with their stuff is not super well produced, but I think those people are few. Just make sure you have really quality, authentic stuff out there. My buddy Scott is here, which I love when Scott's here. Scott says, I don't know why bassists don't organize cool education stuff like you guys. Oh, he's talking about Drummer's Ed. Yeah. Agreed, Scott. I think every group of musician out there that plays a certain instrument, if there's a... You know what, Scott? It just popped in my head. Maybe this is your calling. Scott, you know plenty of bass player friends, next level guys that could probably put something together like that. In fact, maybe hit up Abercrombie and see. I've been talking with him quite a bit over the last few days. So there you go. There you go, buddy. You and Jeff could start this, and it could probably just explode. You guys are awesome. Number 3. See, Scott, I just created a job for you, buddy. Just created a job for you. And it's fun. It's fun. Number 3 of the 6 common challenges for independent musicians would be lack of industry knowledge. Now, I would say that I'm one that knows a lot about the music industry, but I also know that there's so much more to learn and to know about. It's a huge mountain of things to learn and understand, so that you can put money in your pocket. So, you want to talk about copyrights, you want to talk about royalties, licensing, mechanicals, all of those kind of things. Some of those words just alone sound frightening and hard to understand. Just choose one thing to learn, and learn it and understand it and then go on to the next thing. You don't have to digest everything all at once. So being familiar with that is always going to be beneficial for you going forward. And some of it's just as simple as, you make an agreement to play at your local bar, doing a bar band thing. You're negotiating what you're going to be paid. You're talking about how long you need to play, and all of those things, and having some kind of concrete information and an agreement, be it on paper or verbally, so that both parties are benefiting from that relationship. So lack of industry knowledge is one of those challenges, because so many people are either afraid or lazy to learn and understand what all of that means and the direction to go with it. So, for an example, the next release that Midline is doing is a cover, and we're not saying which cover we're doing, because we want to be part of that promotional thing. So we're zipping it on what, but in order to record and release and do video of somebody else's song, there is some legal action that has to take place so that it's legitimate. And so we've went down the avenues necessary to be able to do that. And, it was simple as paying a fee to be able to do that. And, it's not a couple bucks, it's more than that, but we wanted to be able to do this and release this song and be legal about it, so that it still benefits us in that way. So the people that wrote the song and own it, that will all be credited to them, of course, but re-recorded by, the guys in the band. So, yeah, we wanted to be able to have that all on the up and up. And it's just a matter of spending some time and digging in and learning what all of that means, and so that we took the right actions, the right steps to be able to do that. Not just making assumptions that you can't or can do it. But yeah, there's an avenue to take with all of this stuff. And it's just committing to educating yourself. And if you're having trouble, find somebody else who is educated that you can ask questions to. Again, social media has made it possible for most of us to connect with those people relatively easily without being stalkerish or being a fanboy or something like that. And, you can also talk to attorneys. There's all that. So education. Educate yourself so that you can be smart about what you're doing. And, if this information doesn't apply to you because you're just like, I just play it Joe Schmo's once a month and that's all I'm ever going to do, that's fine. Stay out of the complaint lane. We all make our choices, right? Some of those people making those choices come back and then they say, well, you can never make more than X amount of money doing this, and you can never do this, and you can never do that, without them having any knowledge past their own experience. Let's see. Number 4, the ever-changing trends of technology. A lot of this, so for me, the social media stuff is kind of like a business card. And I could spread my business card easily to people that need to be aware of what's going on in the Fred world. It's like I said just a moment ago, like getting in touch with people who know more than you is pretty easy through the social media platforms. And so many people are resistant to using these platforms as a tool because of the toxic nature that surrounds a lot of social media, and I totally get that and understand that too. But to me, it's like this pen. This pen can be used to write good things and bad things. I'm not going to blame the pen on the good or bad that it can do, because I'm in control of what the pen does. Just like social media, it could be used for good or bad. It's like you control how that's going to work out for you. And if something bothers you, just stay out of it. Just stay out of it. Delete it. Get rid of it. By and large, my news feeds on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok are pretty cleaned up and full of stuff that I want to see and be involved with. There's hardly any political stuff in it whatsoever. And it is difficult to weed all of that out 100%, but you can get close. You can get close for sure. So I think social media is really, really important tool. Don't be afraid to use it. And use it smart. Be smart about how you're using it too. I know I know what my beliefs are, and I know what my political perspectives are, but that really isn't presented through what I'm doing as far as drumming and music is concerned. I don't mind having those conversations one-on-one in person with somebody else, even if it's with another person who's 180 degrees out from what I am. But I've yet to see anybody convince somebody else to change through social media. What I've seen is people start yelling at each other and calling names and things like that, even to complete strangers. So that stuff I've completely wiped out of being seen on social media. So, but if you're a musician and you're promoting yourself or your music through that, the social media stuff changes so fast all the time. It's constantly changing, and you got to be ready to move with that. Tom, you're in Belize? Wow. That's awesome. Are you wearing swimming trunks as we speak? I'll wait. Yeah, so social media, it's a free tool to use, and with a big reach. You can reach the entire world through social media, through YouTube and Facebook and Instagram and TikTok. Those are the ones I use. I know there's some other stuff out there that I completely ditched. Twitter, or maybe it's called X now. I don't remember, but that was one platform that did absolutely zero for me. It just could never get any traction on that, so I just got rid of it. And there's enough to manage as it is. So, you don't have to be on all of the platforms, but be on some. And, promoting your music. I said, number one being the competition thing is that, if you have this great song that you recorded in a video you did or whatever it is, or you're promoting a show and you make one post about that, that's not enough. It's not enough. You got to put it out there multiple times, and depending on the time of day too, you're going to get a different audience that's seeing that. So, if I post something in the morning and some people see it, awesome. They're probably not going to see it again later that day because it's going to disappear. And so you want to repost that again in the afternoon or the evening when another group of people are going to be on. And promoting stuff too is fairly inexpensive if you want to do like some concentrated campaigns, marketing stuff for your stuff. That's relatively easy to do. These are tools that are easy to use, but I know people too that still, they kind of dig their heels in and they're really resistant. Well, I don't understand it. Or they just hate social media whatsoever. I think you're just cutting off huge opportunity by thinking that way. it's like it's a main artery of information that can go out to people, and you just cut that artery off. And now what? Well, then, I run across the people. Well, I'm old school. Really? You're old school? Are you out passing out paper flyers on people's windshields? You're old school. You just made 1,000 CDs. Yeah. I don't know. You'd be better off making 100 vinyl records. Yeah. So the ever-changing trends of technology, just keep up with it. It's just like the lack of knowledge in the industry. It's, I think not learning is by and large a sign of laziness, and you want to use being scared of it or not understanding it as an excuse. Well, most of us, I'm sure, drive cars and we didn't know how to before we learned. Imagine not having your vehicle and being able to drive yourself from place to place because you just didn't understand it. Well, this is a vehicle to help get your music out there. And I'm not scared to say that people who are so resistant to these things are typically the ones who are complaining the most about where they are with what's happening with music. The clubs aren't paying anything, and nobody cares about my music anyway, and 4 people came to my gig, and whatever. Those typically are the people that have the least amount of knowledge of what's actually happening and going on. And I don't know everything. I'm trying to learn as much as I can all the time. I'm always learning something new and going, oh, okay, that makes sense. There's this comfort zone thing too. It's like the more you get out of your comfort zone, the larger your comfort zone becomes, because you know more stuff and you're more confident and comfortable in what you know and can offer. So, what else did I say about this? Social media, blah, blah, blah. So yeah, you just have to learn how to use this stuff to your advantage. It's right there. It's, like I said, the cost is pretty affordable, especially when it's free. Free tools. Kirby, I'm going to put my glasses on so I can see what we're saying. People like that need to look in the mirror. Yeah. And open their eyes. Yeah. I think some of the older musicians too, who will say things like, I'm old school. Not necessarily anything wrong with that, because I too sometimes long for how things used to be, or wish they were still operating in that way, because I feel like those were good models. Like, I've talked multiple times over the last year and however many 77 weeks is. I miss like my teenage years and my 20s and early 30s, where, especially teenage years and early 20s, where you'd go stand in line to buy a concert ticket, where now you can just go online and get them. There's the ease and convenience of that. I liked knowing that my favorite band's new album was coming out on such and such day, and I would go to the music store and wait in line and hope they had enough copies for the 100 people that were standing in line to get it. I miss those kind of things. I miss the physical part of music. But that's not how it is anymore. So I chose to accept and look at how things work now, and how can that be beneficial to me, and not just stay over here in this other world and just, curse the music business, because it's not how it used to be. I love music too much to be riled up by that. James Harrison. Music store hangs. Yeah. Music store hangs. Not only that, but So James, you said that, and I thought about record stores, but I'm guessing that you mean probably like Musicians Pro Shop too was the hang place in Boise. And Musicians Pro Shop too was a place where I started meeting more of the local musicians when I first moved to Boise. I grew up in Caldwell, and when I remember when I started getting my driver's license and being able to go other places, Musicians Pro Shop, my friends and I would jump in my little Toyota Land Cruiser and we'd drive to Boise and go hang out at Musicians Pro Shop. We'd be at that store for 3 hours. We'd be at that store for 3 hours and, talking to Ken Morton or Russ Pfeiffer, run into other musicians around town, and you just try to meet them and say, hey, what's up? It was a great time, a really cool time, and that part of music I do miss. I miss that community of it. But that community of that now, by and large, lives in the world of internet. So number 5, lack of support. So this might tie into what we were just talking about here, James. Networking and connections. So people sometimes lack of support. Well, you don't know anybody. You got to get out there and meet people and be friends with them. So much of that ties back into everything else that I've said, competition, finances, lack of industry knowledge, ever-changing trends. If you have friends who are either in the same position as you or hopefully make friends who know more than you, then that's some people that you can lean on, and having that networking and connections is really, really important to your career. Again, lack of support. Sometimes tying back into that is you make that one post and nobody saw it, and so, well, nobody likes me, and nobody's going to come to my gigs, and nobody knows. Well, you didn't do something on your part to make people aware that something was going on. So having that support is important, but you got to get out there and meet people and start working and networking with them. And then, like I just was telling James, the music hang at Musicians Pro Shop, a lot of that happens online now, these kind of hangs, and getting support. So I don't want to say what the name of the Facebook group is at this point because it's pretty new, but it is aimed at drummers and drum teachers and things like that. It's a fairly new page, and whoever is running it made this post over the weekend that said, I want to welcome these people to the group, and it was a long list of people, and most of them who I know. And it said to introduce yourself to the group, tell us briefly what you do, and things like that. Well, I could see that 2 people liked it, liked the post, and 35 people or so saw it, and I'm the only one that commented on who I was and what I did, which seems strange for a Facebook group that is designed to have that community and nobody's participating, which I think is really, really unfortunate. I see other drum teachers in town doing things, and their students are doing cool things, and I'll comment congratulations or whatever and like that, and never ever do these other people respond, and never ever do they reciprocate that. So that you can be in competition and still support one another. So I don't understand that way of thinking. That's just me. So, number 5, this lack of support, it's that can go a lot of different directions. Let's catch up here real quick before I get to number 6. Greg says there are a lot of things about the good old days that aren't so good. Well, that's true too. That's why things move forward, right, Greg? Kirby, the tech makes being a cover band. Used to learn old school with the record player and scratch. Oh yeah, you mean learning songs, Kirby? Yeah. So James Harrison and I were talking about this. Sometime a while back, but when we used to try to learn songs, you would record it off the radio on a little cassette tape if you didn't already buy the cassette tape, and then you'd rewind and rewind and rewind and rewind, and you really had to use your ears and focus and try to listen to what was happening in the band and what was happening with the drum parts. Now you can go on YouTube and there's somebody that's demonstrating exactly how the drum part was played, and it could be by the artists themselves or people who do drum covers. Like I had spent 2 years doing drum covers. They weren't hit for hit perfect, but they were really close. And I know I've had people comment on the drum covers I've done. Oh, finally somebody that did this that I can understand what just happened and how that part goes. Hey, Rick Thomas. In this technology and music hang. Yep. Kirby says exactly. Yeah. So number 6, unpredictability. Things can change really, really rapidly, and you got to be ready to move with it. You can think about technology and things changing rapidly with social media, and you can think about YouTube, long form content, short form content, the 1-minute reels, back to long content form. It's this, I can't get on this roller coaster of how it works and what people are paying attention to and what's being watched and for how long. It used to be a time where you had to have long form content or people weren't watching it, and then it moved to it's got to be short, and then it got shorter, 30 seconds to a minute reels of things happening. There's so many people involved and so many people vying for your attention. It sometimes can seem a little hopeless in how you do that. So you got to be creative. And I think being authentic in how you present yourself is going to be seen easier. I know some of these people that get out there and they're trying to be influencers and they call themselves an influencer. Just influence without telling people that you're influencing them. Hi, I'm influencing you. Don't say that. Or I just wanted to jump on here real quick. No, you didn't. You purposely wanted to get on here and say something. Just say what you're going to say. Like, guys, I'm so busy, but I didn't want to ignore you. So I need to tell you I was going to jump on here real quick. I never think of that as being very real. Or if they go live, they sit and stare. They're watching the little number up in the screen to see how many people are watching before they say a word. Just start talking. All right, I'll get off my soapbox. But be willing to change with the tide. The things are going to ebb and flow, and it can be unpredictable about how that happens. Just like driving around town, it's and you suddenly get a flat tire. That was unpredictable. Well, what are you going to do about it? You're going to get out and change the tire and be on your way. That's what you're going to do. Be ready to do that. Be ready for something to come up and disrupt what you're working on, and then you have to change directions. You got to pivot and move with that. It's not the end of the world to have something come up and cause you to rethink your approach to what's happening. And by and large, most of that stuff's probably pretty small things to navigate. It's not life-threatening to have to to work around those things. So quick recap. Gary, hey, we gotta get together and hang out here soon too. Quick recap. Number 1, competition. Number 2, financial hurdles. 3, lack of industry knowledge. That to me is a big one. As much as I know, there's a ton more to learn, and I'm always trying to learn more about that and understand it so that I can be better prepared myself. And you know what? The more you know, the easier things seem to work. Because you know more, you understand more, and those things don't frighten me like they used to. I used to get all nervous when people would start talking about certain aspects of the music business because I didn't know it or understand it, and so it used to freak me out a little bit. But the more you know, the easier it gets. It just seems to work that way. The more opportunities that you have with, knowledge is power. That's not wrong. Number 4, ever-changing trends of technology. Don't be scared of that either. 5, the lack of support. Well, get around people that do want to support you, and you can support them. It's all good stuff once you can have that community, that relationship of things going on. And then unpredictability, being able to change easily and pivot. It's really, really important to be able to do that. And I think if you do all of those things, your blood pressure is going to be better. At least for me it is. When you feel that anxiety creeping in and tension and so much of that is just lack of knowledge, not being ready and aware to deal with those things. I'm going to try to get this quote right, but I think it came from the Navy. Some I don't understand the rankings of military, but some high-ranking Navy, I don't know, you call those admirals or generals or whatever, said when let's see, I'm trying to think of how this was said exactly. Something about when the going gets tough, don't rise to the occasion, sink to the level of your training. So, yeah, when adversity is coming or something's not going right, it's not that you become Superman. Let me figure this out. It's rely on the knowledge that you have and use that to get through whatever that thing is. So don't rise to the occasion, sink to the level of your training. So that was I'm pretty sure a Navy thing. But once I heard that, I always remembered it. And I think there's an important lesson in that and how we navigate this number 6, unpredictability of things. And all 6 of these things are so well tied together. Greg says, support is definitely reciprocal. I try to put as many kind words out into the music world as I would like to receive. Yeah. I did one of these coffee shows a few weeks back. It was episode 74. Are you happy for others' successes? We should celebrate each other's accomplishments and successes. I think if some local band got on the radio and regular rotation and the radio station was really promoting them, congratulations to them, because that nut is almost impossible to crack, especially now, at least in our area. I don't know how it would be somewhere else, but midline did a lot of work in the early 90s, and we were one of those bands that were able to do that, and we had the support of the radio station to play us in heavy rotation, and that lasted for 2 years. Not alone just a month, but for 2 years. And I know just be experiencing it, there were a lot of other people around who didn't talk so nicely about that because they felt they were deserving of it, if not more deserving of it, rather than supporting that. So there was some ugliness going on associated with that. I don't know if that would necessarily be true now, but definitely was the case then, and which is unfortunate. And we're still friends with most of those people that we know didn't have so much nice stuff to say in the early 90s, but here we are, still alive and still doing it. But, if somebody is playing a show and they sold out, awesome. That good for you. I think anybody that's breaking through and doing well, tell them, hey, that was awesome. That was a good thing. And as part of that net, you should be genuine in that compliment, but it can also be advantageous in the networking part of all of that as well. All right, let's see. A couple more comments, then we'll wrap her up. Greg says, Gary says, I've got a great story for you. Gary, I want to hear it. Saturday, Gary, Saturday. I have a motorcycle title I need to give to you as well. So, maybe we can get one of these hangs going and invite some of our friends too. But looking forward to the story. Well, folks, there's my hour. There's my hour of infinite wisdom and knowledge. Now I say that and laugh because I'm being sarcastic, as my kids used to say, sarcastic. I'm just sharing things that I've experienced myself, things that I'm participating in currently, or based on personal experience. I never flap my gums necessarily at something I'm speculating on or guessing on how it works. It's just all related to everything that I've already experienced myself. And it's easy to point blame at other situations because something didn't work out quite right. So there's that unpredictability thing. But learn from those mistakes. At least that's what I've tried to do, and pivot around those and keep going forward, because I just love drumming and music too much to do something different than that. So